Support for this podcast comes from listeners and St. Alphonsus Health System, a regional network of hospitals, clinics, and care providers. St. Alphonsus offers comprehensive healthcare services to individuals and families throughout the community. More information about services and locations is available at stalphonsus.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's Daily News. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. Today, we will tell you why, in the wake of Election Day, Idaho Democrats are actually optimistic. And we'll tell you why attorneys for Bryan Kohberger were back in court yesterday. It is Thursday, the 6th of November, and here we go with today's stories. Republican legislative leaders say Idaho is not in a budget crisis. That as it faces falling revenue, rising costs, and a projected deficit. James Dawson reports.
Tax collections since July are down nearly 7% from forecasts. Even with Governor Little's 3% holdback in state spending, Idaho is projected to end the fiscal year in the red, erasing a nearly $440 million estimated cash balance. Budget Committee co-chairs Senator Scott Grow and Representative Wendy Horman say this is not a budget crisis. Republican Representative Steve Miller, who also serves on the committee, agrees.
From my perspective, now we're kind of like the good old days. This is where we operated from for many years, and we get to talk about wants versus needs, and we need to talk about efficiencies, and we need to talk about things that really need to get done as opposed to things that people would like to do.
Bills for Medicaid, public schools, and corrections in the current fiscal year are expected to cost about $190 million more than budgeted. Idaho has nearly $1.7 billion in rainy day funds. Lawmakers will tackle the problem when they return to session in January. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
This week's success of Democrats in Virginia, New Jersey, Georgia, and Michigan has a lot of people talking, including here in Idaho.
It's so inspiring to see voters in all kinds of states stand up and reject the Republican regime that's been marked by economy-crashing policies and blatantly unconstitutional moves.
This is House Representative Lauren Necochea of Boise. She's also the chair of the Idaho Democratic Party. So we asked about those wins on Tuesday nights in other states, and Necochea said her confidence continues to grow that Democrats absolutely can pick up more seats in the Idaho legislature because it is about the economy.
We can flip seats blue in 2026, even in districts we lost last year. Idaho families want to believe that the American dream still holds, that if you put in a day's work, you can come home to a roof over your head, you can afford to put food on the table, and those messages are going to resonate next year.
Nearly all exit polls across the U.S. Tuesday confirmed that by a wide margin, the economy was the top concern among voters this year. Now to eastern Idaho, where this week's election in the city of Pocatello was a clean sweep, as in sweeping people out. Pocatello voters decided they wanted a new mayor and a new city council. The Idaho State Journal is reporting that incumbent Pocatello Mayor Brian Blad, who has served 16 years in Pocatello, came in third out of 3 candidates. And then there will be 3 new faces joining the Pocatello City Council when they're sworn in January. Bryan Kohberger was not in court yesterday, but he was the subject of a hearing at the Ada County Courthouse. Kohberger is spending the rest of his life behind bars for the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Part of his sentencing included restitution to the victims' families. Prosecutors are now asking for greater restitution due to greater expenses for the families during the murder trial. Kohberger's attorney, Elsa Massoff, said her client didn't have much money, indicating that he hadn't made a deal yet to, for instance, turn his life into a book or a movie, but Judge Steve Hippler pushed back and even revealed that at one point while he was incarcerated, there were 5 figures in Kohberger's bank account.
There is no book or movie that's in the works by any of his family, and to say that those things are going to happen is absolutely speculative.
There's a history in the 3 years he was incarcerated of him receiving 5 figures put on his books. Doesn't that give the court some history?
After about a half hour of arguments over the prosecution's request for more restitution, Hippler said he would issue his ruling in the coming days. The month is only a week old, but November is already a cruel month for tens of thousands of Idaho families. As you know, more than 130,000 Idahoans depend on SNAP benefits, which have evaporated due to the federal government shutdown. The Trump White House says benefits will resume at some point, but we don't know when. Meanwhile, Idahoans are depending on food banks. Many are penny pinching. Some in north central Idaho are fishing. Here's Rachel Sun.
Cass Davis spent the last week fishing as much as he could. He says that depending on how quickly he gets his food stamps, he might need that catch.
Well, I've been going salmon fishing despite the fact that I got a cold and I was miserable this morning. I went. And it's because I really want to put a whole bunch of smoked salmon in my freezer.
Davis, who lives on a fixed income, is one of about 130,000 Idahoans who rely on SNAP. Usually the program covers about $200 of Davis's monthly groceries. Now, he'll get half that, and he's not sure when. Some groups say it might take weeks.
And where it's all going, that stresses me out. It's just the beginning.
Food pantry managers say families with children will likely be the hardest hit by SNAP cuts. Reporting in Moscow, Idaho, I'm Rachel Sun.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. We'll see you back here on Friday. You can stay in touch with the news anytime on our website. It's boisestatepublicradio.org. And tell your friends and family about The Connector and how they can find it anywhere they find their favorite podcasts. For now, to you, thanks for listening.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.